In London today, the political air carried a sense of both urgency and caution as German Chancellor Friedrich Merz participated in a new round of talks focused on the future of Ukraine. The discussions, attended by European, American and international diplomats.
I'm looking forward to hear from you what the outcome of these talks might be. And we are still and remain strongly behind Ukraine and giving support to your country, because we all know that the destiny of this country is the destiny of Europe. So that's the reason why we are here, trying to figure out what we can do. And nobody should doubt on our support for Ukraine. And this is what we are firmly standing behind, and the outcome is open. I'm skeptical about some of the details which we are seeing in the documents coming from the US side, but we have to talk about it.
Were framed as a crucial moment in shaping the next phase of Western strategy toward ending the war. Yet, even before the core meeting began, Merz signalled a tone that stood out from the otherwise choreographed diplomacy of the day. His message was clear: Germany remains committed to Ukraine, but not unconditionally aligned with every detail of Washington's emerging peace proposal. The meeting, held against the backdrop of London's historic government district, was part of a wider diplomatic push by the United States to secure European backing for a framework it has quietly circulated among allies. This framework, according to officials familiar with the document, outlines Washington's expectations for a phased de-escalation, security guarantees, and future territorial negotiations between Kyiv and Moscow. But like many plans drafted in distant capitals, it has raised questions among those who must bear the political weight of implementing it. When Merz stepped forward to speak to reporters, he chose his words carefully, aware that each sentence carried implications for Germany's position, Ukraine's morale, and Washington's expectations. Yet he did not shy away from publicly acknowledging his reservations. In his own words, "We continue to stand firmly behind Ukraine and support your country because we all know that the fate of this country is the fate of Europe." That phrase, the fate of Europe, echoed through diplomatic circles throughout the Cannes day, capturing the gravity that has defined Germany's evolving role in the conflict. He continued by emphasizing unity with Kyiv, saying, "Nobody should doubt our support for Ukraine, and we stand by that." But his next lines carried a different tone, signaling unease beneath the surface. "The outcome is uncertain. I'm skeptical about some details of the US peace plan, but we need to talk about it. That's why we're here." With that statement, Merz placed Germany at a complicated intersection, supportive but not unquestioning, aligned with its allies but determined to evaluate the plan through a European strategic lens rather than accept it wholesale. Diplomats familiar with the US proposal say that Washington has placed a particular emphasis on securing a ceasefire structure that would freeze hostilities while establishing internationally monitored zones. Such an arrangement, while attractive to governments eager to end the war, has raised red flags in European capitals that fear freezing the conflict could merely formalize Russian territorial gains. Germany, which has taken on an expanded leadership role in European defence since the war began, appears especially sensitive to that concern. This is the environment in which Merz made his comments. His scepticism is directed not at the idea of peace, but at the fine print, the clauses that would shape Europe's security architecture for decades. For Germany, a peace plan cannot simply be about stopping gunfire. It must prevent future instability, ensure Ukrainian sovereignty, and avoid a repeat of the cycles of aggression Europe has witnessed both before and after 2014. Throughout the day, officials accompanying the Chancellor described the London talks as a working session, not a final negotiation. Ukraine's representatives have arrived seeking assurances that Western partners will not pressure Kyiv into concessions it is unwilling to make. In private, Ukrainian officials have repeatedly warned that premature compromises would not lead to sustainable peace, but rather embolden further Russian advances. It is in this context that Merz noted the importance of hearing from Ukraine directly after the talks and understanding how Kyiv interprets the latest diplomatic maneuvers. The full quote from Merz, delivered in English, set the tone for his position. I'm looking forward to hear from you after the outcome of these talks might be. And we are still and remain strongly behind Ukraine and giving support to your country, because we all know that the destiny of this country is the destiny of Europe. So that's the reason why we are here, trying to figure out what we can do. And nobody should doubt our support for Ukraine. And this is what we are firmly standing behind, and the outcome is open. I'm skeptical about some of the details which we are seeing in the documents coming from US side, but we have to talk about it. That's why we are here. In diplomatic language, expressing skepticism publicly is rare unless a leader intends to set expectations. Germany is signaling that it will not be rushed into endorsing terms that could reshape European security without meticulous review. At the same time, Berlin understands the immense pressure Washington faces as it works to unify allies around a shared framework before the conflict escalates further. Inside the meeting halls, American officials have reportedly emphasized the urgency of advancing a credible peace proposal that Ukraine could consider once battlefield conditions shift. The US-NATO position aligns with concerns that prolonged attrition benefits Russia by wearing down not just Ukrainian forces, but Western political patience. Yet, European leaders, including Merz, appear to be taking a longer view. They are cautious about the idea of any settlement that could force Ukraine into accepting borders defined by conflict rather than international law, especially if such borders remain vulnerable to future violations. At the same time, the German Chancellor's comments reflect a broader trend within Europe, the increasing insistence that European states, not just Washington, must shape the terms of any future peace. The war has fundamentally altered Europe's understanding of its own vulnerabilities, and the continent's leaders are determined to ensure that any agreement reflects European security priorities. For Germany, this means maintaining support for Ukraine's defence while avoiding diplomatic shortcuts that could undermine long-term stability. London, once again positioned as a convening hub for major geopolitical negotiations, provided the right symbolic setting for these discussions. The United Kingdom, a strong supporter of Ukraine since the earliest days of the conflict, has encouraged more assertive Western coordination. British officials have repeatedly expressed concern that divisions among allies could weaken Kyiv's bargaining position and embolden Moscow. The presence of the German Chancellor therefore added weight to the message that Europe intends to remain united, even as it debates the specifics of Washington's plan. Observers noted that Merz's tone, while cautious, also conveyed a willingness to engage constructively. His repeated emphasis on dialogue, "We have to talk about it," underscored Germany's request for transparency and collaboration rather than outright objection. He did not dismiss the US proposal. Instead, he signaled the need for alignment and rigorous examination. In major European capitals, this approach has resonated as a responsible balancing act, supportive of Washington's leadership but attentive to regional realities. Throughout the day, analysts emphasize that the success of any peace plan will hinge not on how it is designed, but on whether it addresses the fundamental causes of the conflict. Ukraine's security, Russia's intentions, and Europe's strategic posture all remain intertwined in a delicate formula. If any one factor is miscalculated, the resulting framework could fail to deliver a lasting solution. Merz's statement that the outcome is uncertain reflects a level of realism that has become increasingly common among European leaders. After nearly 3 years of war, promises of quick diplomatic breakthroughs ring hollow. The conflict's complexity requires patience, sustained support for Ukraine, and a recognition that peace must be negotiated from a position of strength, not fatigue. Yet Merz's most important message may be that Europe sees Ukraine's struggle as its own. His reminder that the fate of this country is the fate of Europe captures the essence of why these talks matter. A stable Ukraine means a stable European continent. A fragmented or coerced Ukraine would leave Europe exposed to future crises. As the talks in London continue, diplomats expect Germany to play a critical role in determining the pace and direction of Allied discussions. Berlin's concerns mirror those of several European partners who fear the political consequences of supporting a plan that Kyiv views as inadequate. But Germany's commitment to Ukraine remains unwavering, and Merz's reassurances were delivered not only to diplomats but also to Kyiv, Moscow and Washington. The London session marks another step in the long search for a viable pathway to peace. While scepticism remains, so does determination. Merz's presence and his candid remarks highlight the balance Europe is striving to maintain: steadfast support for Ukraine, cautious evaluation of American proposals, and a shared recognition that the decisions made in rooms like these will shape the strategic landscape of Europe for generations. The message from London is therefore both firm and measured. Peace is the goal, but not at any cost and not on terms that compromise Europe's security. Germany intends to engage, to question, and to collaborate, ensuring that when a path forward is finally agreed upon, it reflects the realities and aspirations of those who will live with its consequences.